good, YouTube? It's Marco B! Back with another video, man. Thank you, Jesus, for allowing us to be here another day. Shout out to Ronald. Ronald requested this video. He said the top 50 goalie masks of all, top 50 goalie masks, but I didn't see a top 50, but I did see top ranked goalie masks of all time. So that's the video we have today. It's about 28 minutes long. So strap in, grab your hot cocoa, grab your popcorn, whatever you need. If you like a little candy, get you some candy. But before you do that, man, hit that subscribe button because about 75% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn those post notifications on. Let's get into this video.
From hand-painted legends to full-blown works of art, goalie masks aren't just equipment. They're storytelling, personality, and intimidation all wrapped around a last line of defense. Today, we're diving into the top 50 goalie masks of all time. From the wild, the iconic, the downright bizarre, and the designs that changed the game forever, this list is packed with masks that defined eras, sparked trends, and became unforgettable pieces of hockey history. So buckle up, let's get into it. At number 50, we've got to start this list with the mask that wasn't really a mask, but still
that's a killer mask. Serial killer. Serial killer.
Changed everything. In 1930, Ottawa Senators goalie Clint Benedict took a puck straight to the face, breaking his nose, and came back wearing what was basically a leather nose and cheek protector. It wasn't painted, it wasn't molded, but that simple strap-on leather pad was technically the first time an NHL goalie ever wore facial protection of any kind in an NHL game. It wasn't flashy, but in a funny and painful way, it did become iconic. Number 49 features Peter Mrazek tossing Peter Griffin from the TV show Family Guy onto his helmet. The story behind this one is pretty easy to digest. Back in his Grand Rapids days, he picked up the nickname Peter the Griffin, as the Grand Rapids were also called the Grand Rapid Griffins. His original Peter Griffin mask came during his time in the Detroit Red Wings system, with the Griffins as their AHL affiliate. In 2015, Mrazek doubled down on the joke with a new design that mashed Peter Griffin together with RoboCop, a tribute to Detroit and a wonderfully unhinged combination to say the least. Number 48 is fun. Roberto Luongo made Johnny Canuck a major part of his identity in Vancouver, putting the old-school pre-NHL lumberjack character on several of his masks throughout his tenure. During the 2008 to 2009 season, when Luongo was named captain, NHL rules prevented a goalie from wearing the C on his jersey, so he painted it onto his mask instead, right alongside Johnny Canuck. And in November 2013, he took the theme even further with a special Movember Johnny Canuck mask. While number 48 isn't about a single particular mask, it's a nod to a theme that carried through a Legends run. Next up, you have a real fan favorite and a creative benchmark, some would say. Josh Harding donned what looked like a fully knitted beanie on his helmet and above his mask. The painted-on knit texture, the faux stitching, the stripes. Every detail was so convincing that from a distance, it genuinely fooled people. It was unexpected, charming, and we think it proved that goalie masks don't always have to be intimidating. At 46, we have one of the most playful masks on this entire ranking. John Gibson showed up with a full Pac-Man theme, and it was impossible not to love it the second you saw it. Instead of going intimidating or ultra-detailed, Gibson leaned straight into game nostalgia. The mask featured Pac-Man himself, the ghosts, and that classic black maze background across his whole head. I can hear the sounds of the game already. Next up, you get one of the most unforgettable movie-inspired masks ever to hit an NHL crease.
Hey, my name is not Oswald! It's Penguin!
While it looks a little odd at first, instead of leaning into the friendly Pittsburgh team logo or a cartoon bird, Ken Reggett went full Tim Burton villain from Batman Returns. The pale face, the dark eyes, the grimacing snarl. Danny DeVito's Penguin character shone bright in the lights on the ice.
That's tough.
At least for a little while, while Reggett was on the
we only have 45. We 5 in.
Is a mask that looked like it was forged in a storm. Dwayne Rollison's God of Thunder mask was pure beauty, electricity, and a tribute to Thor that made him look like he came right out of a Marvel movie. The mask became an immediate fan favorite during his years in Tampa Bay and looked real smooth along the ice. Number 43 is one of the most perfect crossovers between the goalie mask and the city he played in. Stefan Valaket's Spider-Man mask made him instantly recognizable every time he stepped onto the ice for the Rangers. The mask featured massive white Spidey eyes right up top, with that classic red and blue web pattern wrapping around. Artist David Gunnarsson even worked the New York City skyline right into the eyes. It was bold,
Whoa,
New York,
damn,
and
I
it turned a
didn't see that
backup
at
goalie
first.
into an instant standout on the ice. At 42 is one of the most perfectly matched character-to-team combinations
what's
in
this, Road
goalie
Rider?
mask history. Mike Smith's Wile E. Coyote masks weren't just fun to look at.
Me.
They were a full-on identity during his time with the then Phoenix and eventually Arizona Coyotes. Artist David Arrigo painted multiple variations over the years, and each one had its own special personality. Up next is a mask that ditched mascots, animals, and fun entirely.
I'm gonna say
Vesa
Road Runner.
Toscala's Demon Mask was one of the most intimidating looking
Wow.
ever to be put on by a Maple Leafs goaltender. Toscala didn't just want something that matched Toronto's blue and white. He wanted something mean and scary to look at. Finnish artist Jukka Shipra delivered exactly that and more for the goalkeeper. At 40 is one of the best, funniest, and most creative charity masks ever worn in the NHL. Jonas Hiller's Movember mask wasn't just a tribute to the cause. It turned his entire team into a bunch of mustached helmet characters. The mask itself became an instant classic. After November wrapped up, it was auctioned off for an impressive $16,875, all going toward the Movember charity and a great cause. A quick note, if you're enjoying the goalie mask nostalgia, tap that like button and subscribe to the channel for more mask deep dives in the future. 39 sees one of the cleanest, most perfectly on-brand masks the Colorado Avalanche have ever seen. David Abisher's Yeti mask took the team's mountain identity and cranked it up a few notches. Instead of slapping the logo just on the side, the entire character felt like it grew out of the helmet itself. Fans loved it immediately, and it remains one of the most creative and beloved masks from the Avalanche's early 2000s era. Next, we have a true 1970s classic, a mask that helped define
I pressed my space button, it didn't even do them. I should definitely, let me like this video first of all. And if you haven't liked this video, what are you doing? You should like this video. Anyway, I definitely think I want to watch somebody design. I wonder how long this takes.
an entire era of painted fiberglass. Wayne Stevenson's Flyers mask wasn't just team-themed. It turned the Philadelphia logo itself into what was a menacing face staring down breakaways. Instead of a simple winged piece slapped on the side, Stevenson had the logo transformed into a pair of fierce eyes and a sharp, angular nose. A classic, to say the least. At 37, you get a mask that didn't just turn heads, it shredded them. Roman Turek's Iron Maiden Eddie mask is one of the most legendary heavy metal goalie masks ever created, and it fit Turek's intense, no-nonsense style perfectly. Over the years, he continued the theme through multiple helmets. But to us, this one still stands out as arguably the best design overall. 36 sees one of the greatest accidental mask legacies in NHL history. Johan Hedberg didn't set out to become the Moose. It just happened because of a last-minute trade and a mask he didn't have time to repaint. When he was dealt to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2000 season, Hedberg arrived with his Manitoba Moose mask, still painted bright blue with a huge, angry moose on the side. No Penguins colors, no logos, just a giant moose. He started playing lights out and the fans loved it, so every mask he wore after that had to feature some sort of moose on it.
Oh, that's tough.
Next up, we have a delightfully cute mask put on a giant human being. Vasily Koshechkin, all 6 feet 7 inches and 231 pounds of him, skated out in the KHL wearing a mask with a tiny kitten on it. And it wasn't a fierce panther or a wildcat. It was an actual adorable, wide-eyed kitty. The joke comes straight from his name. Koshechkin is derived from koshka, the Russian word for cat, basically meaning little cat or kitten. At 34, you get a mask that helped ignite an entire franchise's visual identity. Daniel Bouchard's Flame mask wasn't just a cool design. It was the first mask ever in Atlanta Flames history to lean fully into the fire theme, and it became an easy template to follow for generations of Flames goalies into the future. At 33 is one of the best tech-inspired masks ever worn in the NHL. Ben Bishop's Tron mask with the Tampa Bay Lightning wasn't just stylish, it glowed in the dark too. The mask pulled straight from Tron Legacy, mixing neon circuit lines, glowing blue accents, and crackling lightning bolts, of course. That tied perfectly into Tampa Bay's identity, smooth, symmetrical, and an overall really interesting design. Next, we see a mask that proves something important. Sometimes it's not the artwork that makes a goalie mask iconic, it's the goalie wearing it. And nobody embodies that more than Martin Brodeur. Brodeur's masks were never the flashiest or most detailed, but the classicness of the helmet itself and who and what it represents absolutely needed to find a place on this list somewhere. The design wasn't one to write home about, but worn by the greatest goalie ever. Yes, one of the most recognizable ever? Of course. A true iconic classic in all its nature. At 31, we see one of my personal favorites, a mask that isn't famous because it reinvented anything. It's famous because it brought back one of the cleanest, most nostalgic goalie looks in Blues history. Brian Elliott's tribute to Curtis Joseph's original trumpet mask was a masterclass in how to honor a franchise legend. Instead of Cujo's later ferocious dog design, Elliott went all the way back to Joseph's early St. Louis days. It was pure 90s blues heritage, created by the original artist, no less, David Arrigo. Super clean and amazing to take in. Speaking of old school, at 30 you get a mask that practically defined the creepy, face-hugging era of goalie art. Murray Bannerman's Blackhawks mask was downright unsettling.
It's definitely creepy.
Painted by legendary mask maker Greg Harrison, the design used black and red strokes over a stark white base to create a distorted, almost kabuki-style design. It wasn't just a design, it was a statement. And one of the last truly legendary masks of the infamous fiberglass era. Next, we get a mask that people call Ghost Rider, even though it never officially was. Mika Kiprasov's flaming skull masks weren't tied to Marvel, but they didn't need to be. They became one of the most recognizable looks in the NHL purely of their own power and design. Working in with the Flames logo of sorts always gave these helmets an even cleaner and more on-point look as well. At number 28 is one of the perfectly themed masks on the list, Jonathan Quick's King's Battle Armor Mask, a design made to look like a medieval helmet and to show the goalie was ready for battle and to storm the castle. The mask was built to resemble old, dented, battle-scratched armor. Super cool to look at and a great way to pay homage to the overall King's theme. Here comes a legend. At number 27, you get a mask that perfectly captured an era, a team, and a dynasty, Grant Fuhr's Oilers Oil Rig Mask. The design itself wasn't flashy or overloaded with detail, but it didn't need to be. It was simple, bold, and instantly tied to Edmonton's identity during one of the most dominant stretches in the NHL. Super classy and iconic. At number 26, you get instant recognizability around a goalie-themed mask, Marty Turco's Gargoyle theme.
That's sick.
This wasn't just a cool design idea, it became the look of Turco's entire career. Most of these masks were painted by David Gunnarsson of Dave Art, who helped evolve the look for over a decade. Earlier versions came from an artist named Bishop in Michigan, but Gunnarsson transformed the gargoyles into a full-blown franchise of designs.
Yo, that's crazy.
Number 25 has a mask theme that became inseparable from a franchise and its identity.
Dragon.
Pekka Rinne didn't just wear Nashville Predators colors, he became the Predator. His saber-toothed tiger masks were a running masterpiece throughout his career, each one turning him into a fiercer, more monstrous version of the team identity. The core.
Look at the detail in that, bro. The slobber coming off the saber-tooth's mouth. Oh my gosh. Look at the teeth down there, dude. Oh my god.
The idea was always the same. Huge, jagged yellow teeth, glowing predator eyes, and that snarling saber-tooth look wrapping right around the helmet. Super smooth and super recognizable in today's day and age. Another absolute classic, also inspired by a former NYC goalie classic. Here we get a mask theme that became synonymous with its city. Henrik Lundqvist didn't just play in New York, he embraced New York entirely. And nothing showed that more than his iconic Statue of Liberty masks. Throughout his entire Rangers career, the Lady Liberty motif followed him from season to season, becoming a visual signature of King Henrik. The legacy is simple. No goalie mask in the modern era is more tied to its city than these were. At number 23, we see Tuukka Rask's Boston Bruin Bear Mask, a design so consistent and so fierce that it basically became his entire identity in Boston. Where a lot of goalies change masks every year or switch themes constantly, Rask did the opposite. For more than a decade, he stuck with the same core concept.
10 years.
His mask transforming into the snarling, sharp-toothed face of a possessed-looking bear. A classic look, and we're so happy he kept it going all those years. Next, we see a mask that's legendary because it's the opposite of everything around it. While other goalies in the 1980s were leaning into color, Pelle Lindbergh stepped into the crease wearing a plain white mask, and somehow it became one of the most unforgettable looks the NHL ever saw. There was no artwork, no flair, no theme, just glossy white fiberglass hugging his face, designed for performance and protection, and that was really it. While it does have no design and is higher on this list, you can't escape the classicness of the look and the dynamic it brought to the NHL.
Yeah, it is tough though.
At 21, we have the unmistakable design of Patrick Waugh when he was in Colorado. The Evil Mountain mask was the perfect visual reset after his dramatic departure from Montreal. Arriving in Colorado, he didn't just change teams, he changed identities, and this mask became the face of a brand new dynasty. Painted by longtime collaborator Guy Lafrance, the design featured a snarling mountain face with sharp angles and icy shadows. It's the mask of a goalie who turned the Avalanche into champions the moment he arrived. Number 20 features a mask theme so perfectly on brand it practically named itself. Nikolai Habibulin didn't just earn the nickname the Bulin Wall, he wore it on his mask. During his time with the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially in the 2004 Stanley Cup season, he leaned fully into the identity. There were cracked bricks, broken edges, and weathered details that made it look like the wall had survived a few too many slap shots. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't fancy. It was exactly what he wanted shooters to see. He was the wall.
Yeah.
Next up is a true legend. At 19, Gary Simmons' Cobra mask was a design so bold and so ahead of its time that it basically helped unlock the entire painted mask era. Simmons earned the nickname the Cobra back in the WHL. His mask was painted and constructed by legendary mask maker Greg Harrison. The NHL version became an instant classic. The most famous detail? Harrison accidentally added rattles to the tail, something Cobras don't have but made shooters even more careful around the netminder. At 18, we see a mask that hit every nostalgic nerve in the building when it debuted.
Ups it back to Goldberg. The goalie! With the knuckle punch.
Jonas Hiller's Mighty Ducks throwback mask from 2013. For Anaheim's 20th anniversary celebration, Hiller didn't just honor the past. He went full 1993 in the best possible way. The mask brought back the original eggplant and jade color scheme, a combo every 90s hockey fan remembers instantly. One side featured the classic Mighty Ducks goalie mask logo from the team's inaugural season, while the other showed Wild Wing, the cartoon-style mascot from those third jersey days. And just to bridge eras, Hiller added the modern Ducks logo on the backplate. So good to see this one. Really love this look. At 17, we see Ryan Miller's black and red goat head masks. These weren't just team-themed designs. They were full-on love letters to the logo and color scheme that defined Buffalo hockey from the late 90s into the mid-2000s. Even better were some of the tweaked designs that changed the color as the jerseys changed as well. These still remain some of the most sought-after replicas out there for collectors and the most on-point masks on this list. 16 is a real classic and such a fun way to feature a character and add personality as well. It's Patrick Lalim's Marvin the Martian mask from his Ottawa Senators years, and while Marvin followed him to other teams later on, Ottawa is where this theme was born. Marvin the Martian's Roman-style helmet looks almost identical to the one on the Senators logo, so instead of going with a generic gladiator or a standard team motif, the goaltender put Marvin on the mask, wide eyes, plume helmet, and all, creating a perfect visual pun that fit the Sens' identity better than anything else could. At 15, you get one of the most unmistakable silhouettes in goalie mask history, Michel Dion's duckbill mask, a design so unique that you could recognize it from the opposite end of the rink. The defining feature was the long pointed chin, a sharp, tapered extension that gave the mask its famous beak look. Fitting for the team he was playing for painted in Penguins colors, black, white, and blue, the mask also carried Dion's signature X design across the face, adding just enough character to personalize it as much as possible for him at the time. 14 serves up yet another classic, iconic mask so surreal and so instantly unforgettable that it practically rewrote what goalie masks could look like. Gilles Gratton didn't have a long NHL career, but his tiger mask with the New York Rangers is still one of the most intimidating designs ever. The idea hit him on a flight back to New York. Flipping through a National Geographic and seeing a photo of a tiger, he thought, that would look neat on my mask. So he handed the concept off to legendary mask maker Greg Harrison, who transformed it into a roaring, full-face animal design that wrapped around the helmet, and the rest was intimidating history. Next is a mask that became one of the defining visuals of a franchise in the late 80s and early 90s. Andy Moog's bear mask is one of the most iconic goalie masks of all time, a perfect blend of ferocity, artistry, and team identity. The design wrapped a snarling Bruin face around the entire helmet. Sharp teeth, bold lines, and an aggressive expression, collectors still chase tribute versions of this mask. and it continues to be replicated and celebrated today because it represents that early
It
wave
just makes
of
me,
personal
it makes me want to
in
like
goalie gear.
try to roar like a bear.
At 12, this is one of the most influential masks
that
ever
was
painted,
terrible.
especially for the team it represented.
cut that.
Mike Richter's Statue of Liberty mask is a design so iconic it literally inspired the New York Rangers to create an alternate jersey. This wasn't just a mask, it became part of the team's entire identity.
Wow.
Handcrafted by Ed Cubberley in 1992, with artwork later continued by Ron Slater, the mask featured the face of Lady Liberty rising from the crown of the helmet. Richter wore variations of this design for more than a decade, from 1992 until his retirement in 2003, and the look synced perfectly with his international career as well.
Wow,
At
that's
the 11th
crazy.
spot, we get one of the most unforgettable and chilling goalie masks ever to hit
Dude,
NHL ice.
look at
Gary
this.
Bones Bromley's full-on skull mask from when he was with the Vancouver Canucks. While some masks may once again be better designed than this one, this mask is a classic and nothing like it had ever been seen
think the
before
hole-
being
I
donned
think
by
the holes
Bromley
in it
on the
make it
Canucks
perfect.
in the late 70s. It was a literal interpretation of Bromley's nickname, Bones, earned because he was just 5 feet 10 inches and 149 pounds, one of the leanest goalies of his era. It immediately became one of the most classic and terrifying masks ever created and an unforgettable design for the time. Before we jump into the top 10, a quick reminder that if you're enjoying this countdown and love goalie masks as much as we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. It helps the channel and lets us keep bringing you more deep dives and hockey stories just like these. Breaking us into the top 10, we have a Dragon Master. Trevor Kidd's Dragon and Fire designs helped push goalie
I like
mask
that
art
dragon.
into the bold, colorful era of the 1990s. The look screamed chaos, aggression, and pure 90s energy. And with Calgary, the design leaned into the Flames' black, red, and yellow.
Oh, it was
Snarling
two
dragons and even
dragons on
skull
there?
variations fit perfectly with the franchise's identity.
Wow.
Kidd wasn't afraid of color, wasn't afraid of detail, and wasn't afraid to stand out. At number 9 is one of the greatest nickname to mask translations in NHL history.
Godzilla.
Olaf Kolzig's Godzilla mask was a
That's
perfect
tough.
fusion of personality, pop culture, and
tough.
pure intimidation. Ole the Goalie was already a fan favorite in Washington, but once he embraced his other nickname, Godzilla, it was all over after that. Painted by artists Len Orlando and Ron Slater, the mask featured a huge, snarling Godzilla wrapped around the helmet, often breathing fire.
You
with
imagine
details
going to
that
score a
evolved
goal
more
and,
more
and
over
just
the
happen to
years.
look at their
It's
helmet.
bold, loud, and one of the fans'
It's
most
gotta be
loved
so
masks
distracting.
ever worn in Washington.
I know
At
how
8 is an
focused you are,
absolute
but it's
cult
got to be
classic.
distracting.
It's Brian Hayward's Shark Attack mask, the
That
design that
mask
helped
is
define
tough.
the San Jose Sharks
That's a
in the
tough
earliest
mask.
years.
That's a tough
When the
mask.
team debuted in 1991, everything about the franchise was new. The teal, the logo, the vibe, and Hayward's mask became one of the first truly iconic
Ooh,
visuals of the expansion
tough.
era Sharks. The design was pure theme work, an underwater attack scene wrapped around the helmet. The Sharks' primary logo took center stage, lunging forward as if bursting right off the mask. Hayward only spent 2 seasons with San Jose, but the mask became a fan favorite almost instantly. The number
Dude, that's
7
tough.
selection comes down to legacy more than anything else. At 7, you get perhaps the cleanest, most instantly recognizable goalie mask ever made, Ken Dryden's Target mask. The bullseye design that became a symbol of the Canadiens' late 70s dynasty.
Oh,
It's
no.
simple, elegant, and just plain
I
unforgettable.
don't know if I put that mask on. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know.
As was Dryden himself. After retiring his old crumbled pretzel mask, Dryden switched in 1975 to a new design built by Ottawa firefighter and mask maker James Homuth, who focused on crafting a tight, comfortable fit for the 6-foot 4-inch goaltender. The Target mask is one of the greatest masks ever. It's hockey history molded into
I don't know about
fiberglass,
what
a dynasty captured in a single perfectly simple design and worthy of being praised still today. At 6, we get a real beauty and one of the most unmistakable masks of the 1990s, Felix Potvin's Cat mask, a design so clean and so perfectly matched to his nickname that it became one of the era's defining looks. If you were watching hockey in the 90s, you didn't even need a jersey number. One glance at the mask and you knew the cat was in net. Interestingly, the inspiration actually came from a Toronto stage production called The Cap Cats, which sparked the idea for a mask that made Potvin look like a literal leaf-colored predator. Simple, bold, instantly identifiable. Felix Potvin didn't just wear the cat, he became it. Starting our top 5, we couldn't make the decision to not bring in the official first mask ever worn by a goalie in the NHL. Jacques Plante and the first real, permanent NHL mask is the reason any other ones exist at all within this list. On November 1st, 1959, Plant took an Andy Bathgate backhand to the face at Madison Square Garden, breaking his nose and sending him off for 7 stitches. When Canadiens coach Toe Blake demanded he return to the game, Plant refused unless he could wear the fiberglass practice mask he'd been using behind the scenes.
Damn.
It was a simple, flesh-colored shell molded to his face by Fiberglass Canada manager Bill Birchmore. It was survival gear, made of fiberglass and resin, shaped to keep him in one piece. Plant went back in wearing that mask, and the Canadiens immediately went on an unbeaten streak. More importantly, Plant refused to take the mask off again, setting us up for history and the ability to create this list at all.
Yeah.
Continuing to number 4,
They went on a
we get
crazy
one of the
win
most
streak, too, on
perfectly
something like
on-brand
18
goalie
games, I think.
masks of the
Or
1990s. John Van Beesbrook's Florida Panthers Panther mask, a design that became the visual identity of a brand new franchise and became a beloved design by 90s hockey kids and hockey fans everywhere.
Look at that.
Built and painted by Don Strauss of Armadillo, the mask wrapped a snarling panther head around the entire helmet, its eyes lining up with Van Beesbrook's. Beezer wore this exact style throughout his entire Florida tenure, making it inseparable from the franchise's early identity and creating what would be considered to some the most recognizable goalie mask ever made, and a panther face so memorable that even casual fans could recall exactly what it looked like. Our top 3 starts with a mask so iconic it became the goaltender's identity across 5 different NHL teams. It's Ed Belfour's Eagle mask, one of the most recognizable designs in hockey history and loved by fans across the globe.
That one.
The concept was simple but powerful. An eagle, a symbol that Eddie the Eagle Belfour personally admired for its strength, leadership, and razor-sharp vision, painted by Todd Miska at the start, with later versions by artists like Ron Slater and Len Dorlando. The eagle wrapped around the mask's contours in bold, aggressive fashion, the beak and feathers shifting with every team Belfour joined. The design became so tied to Belfour that you could recognize him from a mile away. Regardless of the jersey or the color underneath the eagles on the mask, few masks define an era, a sport, or a man the way this one did. In the second spot, and honestly, this mask could easily have been placed in the first position if not for the history behind what we do have in the first spot now. At number 2, you get a mask so iconic it practically became a logo. Curtis Cujo Joseph's Snarling Dog Mask. It is arguably the most recognizable and beloved designs ever made. Cujo, the first 2 letters of Curtis and Joseph, happened to match the title of Stephen King's Killer Dog story. So Joseph leaned all the way into that fact. The mask, primarily painted by Frank Cipra, turned his helmet into a massive, snarling dog with teeth, gums, wrinkles, and eyes positioned just right to give shooters a jolt when they saw it staring back at them. Kids copied it. Goalies idolized it. Tribute masks from players like Brian Elliott and Joseph Wool continue the legacy today. Collectors hunt for authentic replicas, and Joseph guards most of his originals like the treasures that they are. It's fierce, it's fun, it's unforgettable. And in the world of goalie masks, it's as legendary as the man who wore it, and just about as legendary as the one we have at number 1. If you've gotten this far into the iconic, instantly recognizable goalie mask in the history of the sport, Jerry Cheever's Stitch mask. While not the first to wear one, Jerry Cheevers was the first ever to put any sort of design on a mask. What started as a joke turned into the first true expression of personality from a goalie and his mask. The idea was born in the late 1960s after Cheevers took a puck to the mask in practice. Instead of shrugging it off, a teammate joked that someone should draw stitches where the puck hit, the spot he would have needed sewing up if he weren't wearing the protection. Cheevers loved the idea, and the Bruins loved the attitude, so the idea became permanent. Each time the mask was hit, more stitches were painted on. The mask itself was a fiberglass build made by Gary Bauman, but the art, if you can even call it art in the traditional sense, belonged to Cheevers and his teammates. No airbrush artist, no custom shop, just personality. The impact is impossible to overstate. This mask became the symbol of goalie culture, a gateway to everything the position would become. Personal expression, storytelling, creativity, identity. It sits in the Hockey Hall of Fame today. Has been referenced by generations of goaltenders, appears on shirts, posters, merch, and tribute masks, and remains the greatest example of how simplicity can sometimes beat out every masterpiece that came after. Thanks so much for watching, and if we missed your all-time favorite or you'd rank these differently, drop your rankings in the comments below. Again, if you enjoyed hanging out in goalie mask history with us, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
I just went in such a deep thought, like that's crazy, bro. That is so crazy, bro. Wow. They put stitches on that thing after every single hit. Dang. That's crazy, man. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those post notifications on. And remember, stay peaceful, stay positive, stay disciplined, and always, always, always be kind.